And so in coaching, it's a little bit different from counseling or mentoring because our focus is going to be on asking you questions that get you to think, go a little bit deeper, and also to ask questions to help you come up with the answers yourself. Our goal is not to provide the answers for you, but to get you to thinking about what you can do to help you reach your own personal goals, your professional goals. So I've spent some time over the last weekend and this weekend reviewing your homework, reviewing what you submitted for sessions 1 and 2, just so I'm clear on what your personal leadership development goals are. And so that we could focus on our questions this session around that. And then thinking about action. In coaching, we're always thinking about what can you do, what steps can you take to follow through and to develop an action plan to get to where you want to go. So if you have as your development goal to develop more confidence or to be more clear or develop more understanding of others and have others develop a better understanding of yourself, or to support the growth of your staff, or to be less controlling of the work that they're doing, or maybe even just learning about the leadership styles of others, then in coaching, we would talk about, well, what steps are you going to take? What's 3 things you can do over the next month to get a step closer to your goal? Considering session 3, we talked about leadership, productivity, performance, management. Talked about a lot in that session, but the homework is all around the concept of mentoring and finding people in your organization who can support you in achieving your personal leadership development goal. So I would start by talking about not just in your organization, but in life in general. Our discussion today will be about your things you or people you admire. And it could be people in your organization, it could be people in your personal life or community. Who are the people that you admire the most and why? So again, it can be family, can be friends, it could be colleagues. If you're in school, it could be school people that you're in school with. Could be celebrities, movie stars, or singers, but and it could be living or dead. So think about who those people are, who that person is, and tell me who are the people you admire and why. So we'll get to the next part, but first I want you to just think about that for a minute. Who do you admire and why do you admire that person? For me, I think I admire um, I would start, the person that jumps in my head first is a celebrity, and it would be Oprah. And I'll tell you why. It sounds like a really corny thing to say when I say it out loud. But I admire her because of her tenacity and all the challenges she overcame as a young woman. Um, she started out in journalism and television broadcasting, and that's my undergraduate area of focus is journalism. Um, she is creative and she supports people. She does things to bring the best out of people. And I think about all the people she's interviewed and supported in their work. She's invested in them so that they're better people. So I think those things about her, in addition to her just using her celebrity for good, I think are the things that I admire about her. So I'll turn it over to you. Who wants to go first and tell the group who do you admire and why? Who wants to go first? Could be someone in the workplace.
Kathy looks like she's chopping at the bit.
And this could be, thinking about even you have to identify someone that you may consider a potential mentor. So more than likely, this is probably going to be someone you admire, right? So it could be that person. So tell me who that person is.
Well, I admire my current director. She's a couple years younger than me, but she lives and breathes VR. She's very passionate about it, and it's funny, we have these conversations where we're very similar to each other. And we always talk about how we approach things the same way, and we get results, but we joke around about how we get them. She's like, you're a little bit more direct than I am, but you get your results a lot faster than I do. Where she's a little bit more diplomatic and caring and empathetic and all those other type of things that I'm not, and she eventually gets to the same end result, but she does it, just in a little bit of a different way. Takes a little bit longer, sometimes a lot longer, but
Right.
it's like the older I get, the more I think about how they say, people don't care about what they care about how you make them feel.
Right.
So even with me being the way I am, with kind of being, just not sugarcoaty with things, I still think, I try and make sure people feel like they're part of the solution, and part of the process. So, so that they know that they're appreciated, and I try to point that stuff out. But my director has just her ability to kind of give people that, a sense of agency, if you will, she's just so good at that.
All right. Thank you, Jamie. So you're saying the aspect of you see a part of yourself in your director and
Right.
her leadership quality. You did say her, right?
Yes. Yes. Yep. She's like my wife works in the same department, but in a different division. So I always say, like, if you want the nice towns, you have to go to Mrs. Towns. So it's kind of like that with my director. Like, if you want like the nice side of me, you have to go to her. Not that I'm not nice, but you know what I mean. Like super nice, like sugary nice.
That's good. That's good. Thank you. Who else?
I can go ahead. I'll say, like, I think one time before we kind of talked about like support as far as in the work place. And I was actually, I think Lou was a part of our group.
Yeah.
Is she? I think she
First, our
probably
first.
forgot.
Yeah.
But that's like whenever I, started into leadership or whatever, like I said, I really didn't, want to step up and be a supervisor, but Christy Lamas was actually the field supervisor at the time and was like, girl, you doing it, get up and return. And so Lou, she basically, she said that, she can see that, like I'm the type, like I want to be like an innovator. So if it's something that we can't do, we're gonna figure it out because it's gonna be done. We just got to think outside the box to make it happen. And
Hmm.
so that was something that I connected with her on. And actually our disc styles are totally different. But we still have the same type of approach when it comes to our directness, and to making something happen and to stand on what you believe is right until someone can produce something different. And so she's someone that I can just look up to, because she won't, if I'm wrong on something, she has no problem at telling me if it's a different way to approach it. She's able to, say, hey, I've been here for, over 30 years. I've been doing this, same old thing. We've been chasing this tail for so long. This is what we tried, so maybe we can try, something different. So she keeps me engaged in what I'm doing and help me grow in what I'm doing as far as VR.
That's good. So you're talking about Lou. I understood. I heard you say Christy, but
Yeah,
you're
Christy was our field supervisor until she left and went to ARS.
mhm.
And so before she left, she actually wanted me to promote as a supervisor. But I was just I had just freshly graduated with my master's, and I had only been working for the agency as a counselor for like a year. So I was kind of timid about, I was more comfortable like, hey, I'm right here, I'd rather, be paid less to stay here and don't have to worry about, everything else. And so Lou actually, was like, hey, if you accept the position, I can be your mentor. I could give you some insight. And so the both of them, basically, Christy believing in me, like at the last session, she said, sometimes it's just the leader inside the person. You can tell, when a person is a good leader. And so, just her developing that trust in me to be able to lead and giving me the opportunity, as well as Lou being the mentor for me, with me being freshly new to VR.
Good. Thank you, Amber. Amber said both Christy Lamas and Lou Talley. Lou's last name is Talley, right? Bessie Lou. Both inspire her, and because they're see the innovation in her, they believed in her, they trusted her, encouraged her, provide mentoring, also. Um, with her directness that Lou kind of counters some of that and provides helps her to see different perspectives. And then they both encouraged her to stand on what she believed is right. And with their approach, especially with Lou being her mentor, it helps her to see alternative approaches and tells her if she's wrong. And engagement and growth, I think, are two big aspects of both what Lou and Christy have invested in her. So that's good. Thank you. Kathy or Leah?
I'm actually torn between two people.
You can have more
Um,
than one.
Professionally, our assistant director and for services for the blind, and personally, my older cousin.
Hmm.
Um, Watching her, my older cousin is what I'll refer to first. Watching her go from where she started to be where she is now. I use her as a daily inspiration to say that, the small country girls can succeed in whatever they want to, so to speak. I literally watched every single step that she took as she went from school to being directors of multiple projects right now, as well as a pastor of her own church on top of all of that. So she's has like 5 jobs. I don't want to work that much, but to see her success rate has been an inspiration for me, and I guess some of the rest of the family as well. So she's, like I said, she's my daily inspiration. And the director of assistant director, I'm sorry, of DSB, she actually asked me in one of my VIP sessions, why was I settling for the position that I was in? And I said, I told her I was a little jaded because of my previous managerial experience. I had 48 staff, and over half of them were older than me, and they wanted to know what was this young kid trying to tell them what to do. And she said, okay, so whenever you're ready to go ahead and step back out again, you let me know. And she was the first person to congratulate me on gaining this position in October whenever I got there. And she said, you let me know if you have any questions. I'll let you wherever you need to go. So she's my second choice.
So she pushed you beyond your limit. And then you see in your cousin the possibility of achieving your limits because she's overcome every obstacle and really achieved her dreams. That's
And
great.
then some.
And then some. That's great. Thank you, Leah. Kathy, it's all on you now.
It's all me now. I am similar to Layla that there's two people, I guess, personally and professionally. Um, Personally, I would say my father. he has extraordinary work ethic. And he became a supervisor in his last job, and I never saw him, I guess, as supervisor materials because he's more easygoing, not really passive, but just gets along with everybody. I don't know. My mom was always the authoritative, was the head of the household in my opinion. So, you know, seeing him in a supervisor position in his last job was a little out of the ordinary for me. But when the position came up in my office for me to be supervisor, well, first of all, I never even thought to apply for it. I'd only been with the agency 6 months. I'd never been a supervisor before, and it just wasn't something. But everybody in the office supported me, pushed me towards it. And that brings me to my second one, my professional one, which is the deputy commissioner now, who was the regional manager in the office at that time, who, again, I guess saw something that I didn't see, or potential, or what, because I just never thought of it. Didn't feel I was at that place in my career. Didn't feel I had all the answers or the knowledge to be a supervisor. And anyway, he kind of put in perspective what a supervisor is, and that the supervisor don't have all the answers, and you know, knows to go to find the answers and research and grow and get educated yourself. So so I admire him for that. I looked up to him for that, and then to my father for being, I guess, putting supervisory responsibilities in a different aspect, as not the do it my way, the authoritative way of, you know, here's your boss and do what they say, but rather, you know, I'll get in the trenches with you, easygoing. Everybody is given the benefit of the doubt until, you know, you start to see patterns and you don't let people take advantage of you, yet, you know, you're just this easygoing person that kind of ebbs and flows and goes with things and bends, I guess, with the wind and goes with the flow. And so that's kind of why I look up to him, is that I didn't really see that him as supervisor material as he was in our household. But yet again, that's kind of what a supervisor needs, is the characteristics that he has. So
Yeah, it's great. Thank you, Kathy. Yeah, I hear what you're saying, that it sounds like your dad gave you a different perspective as a supervisor. You said he gets in the trenches, he supports, he is not do as I say, not as I do type of a person, but really goes along with the people that he works with. And then being able to see that in him, modeling the role of a supervisor, kind of in a servant leadership position, and then also having that opportunity and being supported in achieving the role of supervisor by your deputy commissioner. I can see why you've chosen those two, so that's great. Thank you for sharing, all four of you for sharing those. I think the next part of why we want to identify who the people are that you admire, because normally when we choose those people, we are seeing some aspect of ourselves in those people. So I'll come back to that question. You've identified those people, whether they're personal or professional, and go back to the why. What aspect of their leadership do you see in yourself, or would you like to see in yourself? What do you see in them that you are attaining to, or maybe that you already see in yourself that you'd like to develop a little bit more? Does that make sense? So, what aspect of yourself do you see in them? I guess I'll come back to Jamie since he kicked it off, and see. You kind of talked about that a little bit already. That you're pretty similar in your leadership styles.
Yep. And first and foremost, no man that I know of is in charge of their household, regardless of what they say. All right. So if they tell you that, they are lying. All right. So anyway,
There's a lot of truth in that.
there is a lot of truth in it. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. But I guess the big difference I think between me and my director is I think it's just style. Like she's just got that style and flair and air about her where, I mean, and we all know the difference between we have, there's a lot of managers out there. There's not that many leaders, right? So, I mean, leaders influence, as opposed to tell people what to do. So she just has that ability, to influence you without even you knowing she's influencing you. Like I think I'm pretty good at connecting with people and working with people at all levels and getting things done and finding out who's the people that have influence, regardless of what their level is in the organization, and working with them and influencing them. But it's just I think I'm probably a little bit more obvious about it than she is, like it's almost like a natural instinct for her, that I just I don't have, I have to work at it, in order to get to where she is. But it's like a second nature type of thing for her, the way she can just influence people and support you at the same time to kind of, guide you like where you need to go type of thing.
I guess I would come back and say, really, do you not see that you have that same type of influence? You just use it in a different way.
Maybe, I don't know. She's just smoother than I am, I guess. I don't know. Her style is, it's really hard to explain. She's just, I don't know. Maybe it's a more of a nurturing type of influencing type of, process or whatever,
Mhm.
that I just don't have. But I think, I don't know. I mean, I guess we're probably a lot alike, like I was saying in the beginning, but she's just her style at it is better. Her diplomacy, she's a lot more diplomatic than I am. I'm a little bit more like I enjoy a healthy confrontation. Everybody knows that about me. I won't like stand down. I'm not afraid to have a, courageous conversation with somebody, and not that she is, but just
Mhm.
the way she handles that is a lot, she's very non-confrontational, very accepting, supportive, in her, delivery of things.
Okay.
She's just a better person than I am, I think is what it boils down to. like my wife.
Okay. Well, there are aspects. I think the goal is to get you to see that there are aspects of the person you're speaking about that you're exhibiting, but maybe you exhibit them in a different way. So I would say her approach is different, but I wouldn't say her approach is better. It may be better for some people, right? But your
Yeah,
approach may be better for some people.
right.
So yeah, part of it is not only to appreciate the qualities that you're seeing in them, but also to see that there are those qualities also exist in yourself as well. So thank you, Jamie. That's really great insight. Who's next? Amber.
Hello. So I would say, for me, like just as far as like Christy, the aspect of her, just like being able to leave a position and actually have a position created, because when she left, she actually went to ARS with a whole new created position for her. So, just the idea of, someone seeing your work ethics and want you that bad that they could open up and create a place for you, which
Hmm.
you know is like, it's kind of, what I feel about myself, like I'm not just stuck to this one era. You know, I want to be able to branch off as far as I can and not be, you know, just stuck in a box. So I want to continuously grow. So when I look at her, you know, from, you know, just meeting her when I first came into the agency, how she pushed me, you know, into the place that I am, I'm like, I want to go like that. You know, I want to go to where positions are created for me because I have that much knowledge. You know, just in VR, whatever the job is that, you know, our time. And for me, as far as Lou, you know, she basically, you know, she's been here for 30 years. And you know, she's kind of settled because she's, you know, at the point where she can go into the job and she can retire if she wants. And so it's like if things get too hectic, you know, she can just go ahead and flow into retirement. But because I have not made it to where she is, you know, I kind of look at her and it kind of encouraged me not to give up, you know, and to keep doing the best that I can at the position, you know, that I'm in without, you know, just being burnt out. Because I can look at the time that she invested and I can hear the stories, you know, of the tail chasing, you know, of the different, you know, federal,
Chasing?
the tail chasing.
I don't know what that means.
Oh, well, just going back and forth about, you know, the different policies and stuff, federal policies and stuff that, you know, supposed to be implemented, but then somebody do it this way. And then you're like, well, I thought it was supposed to be done, you know, just the difference in style of, you know, the different policies that's in place and practice versus the actual
Policy.
policy. And
Yeah.
so, you know, just with that and how frustrating that gets, and, you know, to see her have been here for so long and still haven't gave up, you know, it gives you a sense of, you know, it can't be really that bad. So it kind of gives me a little, you know, I'm here with Lou and it's okay, but I want to get there where Christy is,
I
to the
hear
open
you. Yeah.
doors.
Yeah. So I see what you're saying about my interpretation of that is that Christy, um, she brought value to the organization and that you want others to see that in you as well. That you're so valuable that they're gonna create a whole new position to keep you in the organization or move you further up the chain. And in the process, that you maintain the hope, like Lou, and you still have a perspective that you can still make a difference. So for me, what I'm hearing is that the aspects of them that you see in yourself is that you have value, that you make a difference, and that you're not ever going to give up, right? Maintain hope, even in the bureaucracy of chasing your tail.
Correct.
Well, thank you, Amber. I think that was very good. Who wants to go next? Leia's got the mothering look going on right now, so giving it eye.
Sorry.
I recognize that look.
I guess I'll go ahead since I'm on the spot. um. Okay. I'm sorry, y'all. My 5-year-old is wreaking havoc in the other room. I guess with me, the authoritativeness or assertiveness, that's the word I'm looking for, the assertiveness of the two individuals that I spoke of. One of them is more of a Medea method, and the other one is kind of a smoother Medea method, but both of them are along the same lines, whereas it's a tough love way of approaching staff sometimes, depending on their audience. They do cater it to who they're speaking to. But my cousin, she's very straightforward. She doesn't bite her tongue for anybody. But she will apologize before she call you sugar honey, whatever, boo boo. I need you to do XYZ, and I need you to do it right now. But if you don't do it when she asks you right now, then it becomes a more aggressive Medea approach, I would say. Whereas my director, she has the smoother sense of that, but I can see where she has the aggressive sense as well. I don't want to say I want to be a Medea, but I do like the fact that I talk to all of my younger cousins this way, and I actually am more authoritative with my family than I am in the workplace. And this is the manner in which we get messages across to the younger generation. And it seems to stick. And it was actually kind of neat for me to see that people are actually using that method in a professional capacity. And these people are still taking it without any type of insult or anything, in the manner of they have the caring, nurturing, but you need to get this done sense mentality when it comes to approaching the every demographic that they have working up under them, actually.
So you see the assertiveness, the boldness um, in yourself as well in the workplace.
I see it as possible. I just see I don't enact it that much in the workplace because I guess I have this thing in my head where technically I don't really see it as appropriate because of the how I described it, but in the same sense, I see it that it is actually a working facet that I can take from my personal life and enact in my professional life if I choose to.
Mhm. Yeah, I think so. I really like your analogy of the Medea method. That is certainly a very aggressive method. But the straightforwardness, I think you all know, like it just depends on the person you're talking to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who prefers the straightforward approach, as I might, probably. But I definitely hear you saying that those things are in you. And from your homework, I seem to remember, and from our previous conversations, I seem to remember you saying, I know people come to you with to problem solve, right? And to your sounding board for people in your office. So having that straightforward, bold approach, assertiveness, I think it's in you. It's just putting it into practice and having using it in the right situation, right circumstance. So that's great. Thank you, Leila. Back to Kathy.
It's down to me again. I would say
Or up to
as
you.
far as as far as the deputy commissioner goes, I would see similarities being, I try to, I do look up to him and how he approaches work and the work-life balance and, just him putting everything also on a personal level and not so formal all the time and being supportive and encouraging. And I try to put those characteristics also into my leadership. And then with my father, I feel there's a lot of similarities, but also have some of my mom in me as well, which is more, I guess, the perfectionist. So even though I'm kind of easygoing and everyone gets the benefit of a doubt, I also have the a breaking point, I guess, or boundary where, not so easygoing, where again you don't get walked on, but people know that you're not going to, blow up and grow 3 heads when they do something wrong. So, I mean, I am a perfectionist. I admit I'm a perfectionist, but I know that you'll never reach perfection. I guess it's more of an improvement than it is a perfection. So I don't necessarily hold everybody to those standards, but, like I said, I don't I also don't tolerate not doing my job or being accountable or lazy or whatever. You know, you got to hold your own. And if you need support, you need support. So I don't know. I'm just a mesh of a whole bunch of people. So I can see myself. I can see little bits and pieces of lots of people in me.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I I hear what you're saying in terms of being supportive and encouraging. I think you really brought that out in your homework about that's really one of your strengths, and but not to the point of letting people walk over you, right? That you're gonna push back and you're gonna hold people accountable for their actions, and you're gonna call them out when the time comes to call them out. That you're going to support them and give them the benefit of the doubt, um, a second or third chance, but after a certain point, you know, you gotta face the fact of they have to face the fact and ship up or shape out. So that's good. Thank you for sharing that. I think the part of this that we want to encourage you is to honor the qualities of that you see in your mentors or potential mentors or the people in your professional personal lives, and to honor those qualities that show up in you, whether it's your father or your mother or your deputy commissioner or director, colleagues who've been in the workplace for 30 plus years. Um, you know, we want to encourage you in this coaching session to uh, own that, yes, I am like my deputy commissioner, or yes, I am like my father, or yes, I'm like my colleague in this way. I'm using these qualities to help me further my goals. I'm using these qualities to be more like this in the workplace. I'm using these qualities of my cousin to be more assertive and to hold my staff more accountable for their actions, so that you can claim who you are as a leader, and then help you to achieve your own personal leadership goal, whatever that may be, whether it's learning more about the styles of others, slowing down, seeking to be understood, or uh, having more confidence in VR policy, supporting the growth of your colleagues, your staff. One of the ways to do that is to honor who you are and how you show up by identifying the leadership qualities of people you admire, and then admitting, well, those are things that I have. Maybe I don't have it to the extent, as Jamie said, as my director, but I have those qualities. And so I'm working to develop those qualities in myself. So take a moment to honor those qualities in yourself, and to make note of those qualities that you've identified in those individuals, so that you won't forget about them, and to help you realize or achieve your goals as a leader in the workplace and also personally. So the other questions I'm reading from my list, other aspects of the leadership quality areas you've identified in the person you admire the most that you would like to develop in yourself. So what are other aspects of leadership that you've identified in those persons you admire the most that you would like to develop in yourself? If you don't have any more, then let's talk about your workplace mentors. How can they support you in achieving those leadership qualities you've identified in those individuals? So if you have someone in mind that you may be talking to or interviewing, what would you say? Um, what would you say to them based upon what you've already put in your leadership development plan? How can they support you in helping you achieve your leadership quality that you've identified? What can they do?
Well, for me, um, I I would say, as far as for my mentor, just to keep encouraging me and and pushing me. I feel like I've gained a lot of knowledge, and each and every day, no matter the obstacle that I am set up against, one thing that my mentor told me when I first got into this position that I carry with me each and every day is that make sure in all my gifts that I know my job, and that I know, and that I'm getting, anytime that they're sending out a training and they're saying, hey, this is optional, if it's something that, I want to learn, to go grab it and learn and learn it, um, and it's volunteer, but just to still get it if I want it, because nothing's gonna just come to you. And we can read policy all day long, but if we don't practice it, we lose what we learn. So to stay very knowledgeable of the changes that takes place daily. So that's what I would say for me.
Thank you, Amber. So I would come back to you and ask you another question. You identified, like in particular, one person that the agency said we see this individual as having potential, and we want to encourage this person to stay. Would that also be a question you would ask your mentor? Is what did you do to position yourself in such a way that other people saw that type of value? Would that be something you would ask your mentor?
Yeah, that would be a good question.
Yeah, I mean, well, I guess I probably should ask why instead of would you, instead of a yes or no question. Why?
But I
Why would you ask that? Because I know you said you want that experience, you want that to happen for yourself.
So the reason that that is a good question, and I would ask um ask the question, is just to see, like to find out different scenarios of, because of course with everything, some people accept it and others don't. And then that way I can have a kind of a balance on, what I decide for myself, even though, because it may be something I can, say, oh, well, I can see how, they would, kind of say nah, because of our different styles. And so um I would want to know, like, how have you been, able to help others, or or some people don't even really know that they're a good mentor. So I would even exchange back with them, like, because the things that I'm telling you guys, I've never really had a chance to tell them this. So just to give them that feedback as well, because what if nobody ever gave any feedback either way? So
That's a good point. And so to be able to say to someone, I saw this happen for you, what did you do? How did you position yourself? Would be questions I would want to know. And that it may be something they've never thought about themselves. Like, can you leave me a paper trail and tell me as a potential mentor, how did you get there? So it's a challenge, I think, for them if to look back. And I mean, I'm talking specifically about Christy. Like, so you got to this position. Tell me what you did. Tell me, start thinking about how those questions for you in that conversation with her to kind of give you that roadmap. It could have been things she did not even think about, um, but just to get her to thinking, be specific in your a relationship. What areas that this person can support you in helping you achieve your goal and helping you to get there. To be just specific on in that ask, what did you do to get to that point? And it could be stuff, like you said, she's never thought about. So thank you. Who's next? How can a workplace mentor support you in achieving your goal? I'd come back to Jamie and say, what would you say? I know it sounds like you've kind of had this conversation already, right?
Yeah, some of the stuff we talked about is, it's, as we all know, it's not necessarily what you know, it's who you know. So building that network, with the key players and decision makers in the department or in the state or whatever the case might be. The other thing that I struggle with, I've been with the state for 11 years, and everyone that's in the level above me has, usually has, I don't know, 18 to 20 years before they get into that, you know,
Mm,
position. And I understand that's part of the job, is putting in the hard work and that type of thing, but I don't
right.
want to wait 9 more years, to move
Okay.
up,
Mhm.
so I got to try and figure out how to, get, into a little bit of a better spot.
What could you ask your workplace mentor to help you to get a little closer to that goal?
Well, to get me involved in maybe more of the senior leadership, initiatives, if there's some type of project going on, to just to get some exposure, get my name out there so people can see, what type of work I'm able to do and things I'm able to handle and things along those lines, kind of stuff like we were talking about in the past with just helping me build capacity at that senior leadership level, in
Mhm.
myself. Um, is probably one of the biggest things that I think would help.
Okay. So build your capacity at the senior leadership level, more of the projects at that higher level, networking or with higher level projects or people
Right.
to be able to have those experiences.
Right. And
So,
even I've even asked some other people too. So there's another person in our division that is appointed, and she worked for the governor when he was the lieutenant governor, and worked on his campaigns and that type of thing. So I'm trying to, I was asking her, like, how do I get more like political, you know, um,
connected.
yeah, exactly. So she seems to think that our lieutenant governor is going to be the next governor. So, she's like, start working on her campaign, so, sign up for her different newsletters and this and that, start going out to different things and that type of thing. So I just, just to get some exposure, I think a lot of times there's a lot of people that are overlooked just because people don't know, because people are definitely going to plug the people that they know, you
Sure.
know, and if they don't know you, you could be working, leaps and bounds above the person that got recommended for a job.
Right.
But if they don't know you, they don't know you, so just trying to figure out how to put all those pieces to the puzzle together.
It's good. It sounds like you're already working on that.
Trying, trying.
Good for you. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Kathy or Leah?
Well, and looking back at my plan, and one of the main things that I've struggled with my 8 years in management is delegating.
Mm,
Um, and as I was talking about my dad and him being one to get in the trenches and do the job as well, and I'm the same way. And then I think of the deputy commissioner who delegates a lot. Is there a happy medium? Because, you know, to me, I'm always, if I can do something, why would I ask someone else to do it? It's just that kind of person. And I've thought, considering I am a 1 on the Enneagram, an improver, a perfectionist, am I doing it out of control? Like I have to be the one to do it because I want it done my particular way or whatever.
hmm
And to some extent that may be true. Um, but I think it really comes down to, I don't want to ask somebody to do something that I can do, whether I should or I have time or that's on my plate or whatever. It's just kind of hard for me to assign something to someone else that they too know that I'm capable of doing myself. If if any of that makes sense. This is just something really that I struggle with. It's like, if I can do it, why don't I do it? So,
Yeah. I I think also that shows up in your leadership style too. For you're an SC, right? And S is your primary, and you also have a C.
right,
Yeah, I just
right.
think supporters, those in that leadership style, part of it too is, or could part of it be that you don't want to burden people that with
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and two, as far as the people that I supervise, I mean, we're a state agency, we don't have as many people we need to do the jobs that we're doing, so they're kind of already overworked too, so it's just a hamster wheel I'm on all the time, as far
conflict.
as, okay, I'll just do it.
Yeah. So, question for your workplace mentor might be around that topic of delegation. How can they help you, or what advice they would give you in terms of how to do a better job of delegating and not feel guilty about it?
Yeah, and see, the thing is, the workplace mentor is the one. Won't say that he abuses delegating, but I know he doesn't have one bit of problem with delegating, compared to, I'm way down here on, I don't want to do it, and he's way up here like, why would you not? So we may be too far apart on that topic. So I don't know. I don't know.
Any feedback or advice anyone else would give to Kathy? I want to say advice or any coaching you would give to Kathy on delegation.
It's a hard lesson that I had to learn in my previous managerial position. 48 staff and 2 homes, that was a lot of different people to delegate to, but also the demands of the 2 homes required that delegation, or else I'd have been burned out and no good to anybody. So the best thing that I can think of to tell you is it's going to sound selfish, but think of yourself first. And if you think of it that way, then maybe it will be a little bit easier, because if you burn yourself out, you're not even going to be there to be able to do the job. So if you think about, you got to take care of self. So in order for me to make sure I don't get burned out, this has to be placed on someone else's shoulders in order to get done. Then maybe that will help out a little bit.
Thank you, Leah.
And I would just add, to me, I've always just looked at it as it, like when you're delegating, you're giving them the opportunity, to perfect an area that they may not be comfortable with. So you're pushing them. So, in some sense, you can be delegating, but you can also be a mentor in the process. But I always tell my team that my job as a leader is to make sure that you have just as much information and knowledge as I do,
Mhm.
if not more, for me to, be a successful leader. And so when I'm looking at delegation, I look at it that way, because you have some people that, you know, they won't touch it unless you delegate it. And they may even be able to know how to do it. So it goes back to, finding out, the weakest links inside the team, and building, the puzzles together to make the team, more effective. And I just always tell my team, like, our team is, as weak as our weakest link. So we have to find, what areas we all have strength in, and, try to delegate things, along that way.
Thank you both. Thank you, Amber. Yeah, I agree. Um, we are looking at delegation as leadership development of the staff that you're working with. So it takes a little bit of work on the front end because of the level of communication that you have to provide and support. So it can be For a person who is a perfectionist, it does feel like it's easier to do it yourself, because you do need to spend a lot of time supporting the individual, make sure they have the understanding, and then follow back up to make sure, it's going, almost holding the hand at the early stages. But when you view it as not as abuse of power, but as an aspect of, I am developing my staff to be the best that they can be. I'm creating opportunities for them to grow, which is part of your leadership development plan. You're creating opportunities for them to grow. See it from that perspective, and not adding on work or not abusing your position, but that you're creating opportunities and then communicating. This is this is where I see how you can use this information, communicating that with the person you're delegating to, uh, may be a way to help you overcome that hump of delegating. But certainly, I would say add that to your list of questions for your mentor, whoever that may be, um, on how do they view or how they develop. Yeah, you'll come up with the question. I don't have
Can
questions.
I add something, just for Kathy? And you may want to, just look at it, because I was told this when I went into leadership. Everybody won't like you. And so, if you just, get, I guess, mindset that, you want everybody to like you, but at the same time, you still have a job that you have to complete. So everybody won't like you because they won't like how you delegate something, but at the same time, you still have a commitment, you know, in your position that you have to, you have to delegate. That's just part of, being a supervisor. So that give you some comfort.
Thank you.
The
And
other thing,
oh, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. The other thing too, is as I like to tell people, don't lose sight of the forest for the trees, right?
Right.
Don't focus on where you want to go. Just focus on, or don't focus where you want to be. Focus on where you want to go.
Mhm.
Every person that wins a marathon wins it the same way, one step at a time. And you got to work out of your comfort zone, or you got to, be uncomfortable in order to really grow. So you just do it, little by little. You don't have to solve the equation, right out of the box. Just work on it little by little, piece by piece.
It definitely is something, thank you, Jamie, that takes time. Delegation is not easy for any of us. And I'm more like you in that aspect, Kathy. Sometimes I don't want to do it because I don't want to burden people. I don't want to ask for help when I'm overburdened. And I know what I want to do. I know how it needs to get done, and I'll just wear myself out and just do it, because I know it'll get done. So it's harder to delegate. It takes time, takes effort, but you can get there. I think we all can get there. It's still a learning process. It takes time and effort. It's not easy, and I don't think it's supposed to be easy, is it? What else do you need to develop within yourself to maximize the benefit of the mentoring process? What do you need to get from your mentor so that he or she can or they can support you? Leah, I think we were coming to you next.
I guess, well, one, I probably need to talk to them more if I want to hear this more. But each mentor that I've had throughout life, they all say the same thing: speak up. Every single one of them has said the same thing. You have a lot to say, and whatever you say is going to be heard if you would just go ahead and speak up. Um, I'm coming into the realization of that now, and it's something that I probably need to hear more now than I did when I was younger. But having them tell me that, because even my assistant director, she told me the same thing. She said, when you're ready, speak up, and then when you get there, continue to speak up. So I said, yes, ma'am. And my cousin, she said the same thing. She said, you have a lot to say if you'll just go ahead and speak up.
Do you think you're not speaking up?
Slowly but surely, I'm getting there. but there's
Why,
still
why are you not speaking up then?
I don't know. I'm hesitant to mention things to people sometimes, not in my managerial capacity, but just overall. Maybe fear of insulting somebody or coming off the wrong way, which shouldn't be because my style is true to nature. I think about it in depth before I even bring it up to begin with. Whatever the thing may be, it's just I wait too long to say whatever it is that I got to say. Somebody either says it before I do, or the matter is already passed, or it has escalated or de-escalated or fizzled out or whatever the situation may be. But if I'd gone ahead and gone to bat and took a swing and just let it be, then maybe things have been settled faster, or I don't know. But I'm getting there.
Do you think is it overthinking or is
Yes.
it
It's definitely overthinking.
and fear of stepping on someone's toes or not
Hmm.
saying the right thing? So does that boil down to lack of confidence in your abilities or is it something else?
I have come to the conclusion over the years it's rearing. Um, and I think that's where I butt heads a lot with my last managerial position is I was taught respect your elders, don't overtalk your elders,
Mhm,
don't overtalk, don't interrupt while someone else is speaking.
mhm.
Um, and there are some things that I choose to say, but most of the people that I want to say it to are older than me. So in my head, I'm like, well, I need to wait. But it needed to be said. But in my head, I'm like, well, I don't know. They're my elders, so I probably should wait. I shouldn't say that. Or let me see if it's necessary for me to say that. Or, well, I'm not sure. What do you think? And then the overthinking comes into play.
That's good feedback, Leah. Any perspectives from your your group, your cohort on addressing the overthinking, Jamie?
Well, so for me, I try not to overthink too much stuff because me personally, and everyone's not the same, but failure is the best educator, right? So
Point.
you got to put yourself out there. You don't want to hang yourself out to dry, but you got to put yourself out there and you got to make some mistakes and try not to get too caught up in the minutia of things, right? Especially, as you grow and as you advance to different levels, you can't get caught up in those small details. That's all part of the position, right? Like the higher
Mm-hmm.
up you go, the less detail oriented you get because you're more, big picture. So,
Mm-hmm.
you just kind of got to think about, where you want to be, where you want to go, and don't be afraid to make a mistake. Don't be afraid to learn from that. So, oh,
Hey,
we got a new
cutie.
Say
coworker.
hello.
Hello.
How much are you getting paid? Are you getting paid anything?
Uh-huh.
Good. That's what it's all about, the money, right? You got to get some money.
She wants to show everybody the tooth that she lost.
Oh, let's see it. Oh my goodness, you're getting to be a big girl.
Oh man, did the tooth fairy come?
Yes.
Nice. Was it
What
the rock version of the tooth fairy or the more traditional version? You don't know that one?
how much is a tooth fairy paying out nowadays?
I think it depends on the parent. This tooth fairy paid $1.
That's a good parent.
Good. I got a quarter. $1 is good. 400% increase. Nothing wrong with that.
Well, thank you, Jamie. I really like what you said. Failure is the best educator. Just getting out there and jumping in, and it's okay. It's one of the things that we all need to do more of is say, hey, I was wrong. and let me
Mhm.
correct my mistake. So that engenders respect from your staff and from your colleagues. So even if there is a misstep, being able to go back and correct it, people will still respect you for that. So know that you're going to do good regardless when you speak up and you say the things you need to say. I think that's great advice coming from Jamie.
Hey,
Anybody?
you gave us some great quotes today.
I know, right? He should be writing a book while he's on his way up.
I have no original ideas. I just get it off the internet.
Google and Siri. Hey Siri, give me a quote for today.
That's right. That's right.
Well, I want you to think about what you've said today, the people you've identified. Really great conversation. And then commit to leaning into those qualities that you've identified in those individuals. And as you begin to reach out to your potential mentors, uh, don't be afraid to explore these conversations deeper with them, and also to explore them with your accountability partner, whether it's in delegation or overcoming overthinking, um, finding a pathway up and to better things, bigger and better things. I think those are great goals, and I'm looking forward to hearing what you find out in your interviews and in your discussions. Um, any final thoughts? Anything you want to share before we call it a day? Not hearing anything. Thank you again for sharing your homework, and we'll be meeting again sometime in April. I think it's late in a month, so have a little bit of a breather. If you have any questions or want to talk further about any issue, feel free to reach out to me on my cell phone. Probably the best way to reach me, or email me, and be happy to have a conversation offline anytime. So thank you all. We'll be talking soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day,
Appreciate it.
everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.